She claims that the shadow figure would touch her thighs and even do inappropriate things to her.
Oh, shit!
She recounts time...
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? They want that ass! So, though, if you don't know, I reacted to the trailer for The Conjuring, the last Rites, and I got some copyright issues on it. That's why I didn't put it on YouTube. So it's on my Instagram and it's on my TikTok. Let's go. Stop though.
She was found at the bottom of...
Why did I jump so hard? I gotta stop being so scared. No, I don't.
...the landing, and she did not remember how she got there.
What? Go back. What? Go back.
She was found at the bottom of the landing, and she did not remember how she got there.
So what's really going on then?
Monday, April 29th, 1985.
Right.
The Smurl family was preparing for a special day, 13-year-old Heather's Catholic confirmation. They had lived in their home for 13 years, during which time they experienced a few minor paranormal occurrences. But this day would mark the beginning of something much more terrifying. As the family went about their preparations, a kitchen light suddenly began to shake violently before crashing onto the countertop, nearly missing one of the children.
Oh my God.
This unsettling event, along with others, led the Smurls to reach out to the renowned paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren, for help. What they would endure in the days that followed could only be described as pure horror. This is the true story behind the movie, The Conjuring, Last Rites.
So is this Ed and Lorraine's like real life, like last thing doing this? Like the last,
In 1972, Jack and Janet Smurl were living in...
Like, is this like the last... Oh, what are they... Are they help... I know they're not... Exorcist. Like, what are they... I know they're helping out the families with paranormal activity, but I forgot what it's called. So is this the last family that they're helping out? I would think so. Let's go out with a bang, and I hope this movie's... Yeah.
Bar, Pennsylvania. They had two daughters, Dawn and Heather. That year, Hurricane Agnes destroyed their home.
Agnes.
And they were forced to begin a search for a new place to live in. In October of 1973, they moved into a duplex at 328 Chase Street in West Princeton, Pennsylvania, about an hour and a half from Philadelphia. They lived on one side of the duplex, and Jack's parents, John and Mary Smurl, moved into the other side in December of that year. The house, around 80 years old at this time, was the oldest in the neighborhood. They integrated quickly into the community, making friends and joining the local parish. For the first year and a half, things remained quiet in the house. After that, the family began to notice some non-threatening, unusual occurrences. A rocking chair moving back and forth on its own. Drawers opening and closing by themselves.
I mean, you would think. I don't know what their money was looking like back in the day at that time, but you would think after like how many paranormal activity instances, you'd be like, all right, like I know we got like $5 in the bank right now, but like we got to get up out of here. Hey, sometimes you can't move. You can't. I know you can't just up and leave like that, but that's on you. Regardless of what I got in the bank, I'm up and I'm leaving. It's not worth it. It's not. Hell no.
The radio's unexplainably blaring music. They noticed a dark mark on one of the bedroom walls. No matter what they did to cover it up, it would reappear. They eventually opted to install wood paneling on the walls of that room. More malevolent occurrences would happen from time to time, like foul smells manifesting with no explanation and claw marks appearing to have been scratched into the remodeled walls. The Smurls began to work on some small renovations inside the house and thought the occasional paranormal activity to be harmless. In 1977, Mary gave birth to the twins, Karen and Shannon. Life continued on for the family until April 29, 1985.
Hey, that's my birthday. Hey, April 29th. Shouts out to all my Tauruses out there. What's up? What's up? We good? Hey, what's up? Hey.
Of Heather's confirmation into the Catholic Church. As Heather, Janet, and the other girls were finishing getting ready in the kitchen, a light that was bolted into the ceiling above the island countertop began to shake violently.
Jesus.
It clicked out of the ceiling and crashed into the island where one of the twins was sitting. It just barely missed the young girl, who began to cry immediately. Jack and Janet swear that there was no way that the light had simply come loose. After this event, things continued to get worse. Later, Ed Warren would explain that what the family had experienced up to this point were the beginning stages of infestation. It is possible that the night of the confirmation may have angered the demon, calling him out of the shadows to release his full wrath on the Smurls in the months to come. The family spirits were high that evening, and religious songs were being sung in the house as they prepared for this event. As time passed, the family was often awakened by bizarre banging noises on the walls and ceilings. A mysterious stain randomly appeared on a brand new rug. No matter how many times the stain was cleaned, it would reappear. Eventually they gave up, getting rid of the rug itself. The family, especially Janet and Mary, began to hear disembodied voices in the house. These voices would mimic members of the family, using foul language that they usually would not speak, almost as if trying to cause division between the members of the Smurl family. During one particular event, Janet was in the basement doing laundry. She heard a voice calling her name over and over again. She looked around the basement, and as she thought, she was totally alone. Not only that, but she was also the only one home on that side of the duplex. The voice called her name again. She asked it in a terrified voice, "What do you want?" While the voice did not answer, it continued to call her name. Ed believed,
"What do you want from me? What do you want?" Spirit, I want that. Hey! Ah.
These voices are often telepathically projected from the demon or spirit to the listener, explaining why it is often only the person being targeted that seems to hear the voice.
I can only imagine Ed and Lorraine's I can only imagine every time they help out a family. I don't know if I don't know how to explain it, but it's I'm surprised they lived this long, you know? Cause it's like every time they help out a family, it's almost as if the spirits are like, "You lucky God on your side, bro. You lucky God on your side. Cause on me, word to my mother, bro. If you wasn't tight with God, if you was not close with God, if God wasn't your man, oh, be raps. Best believe, oh, trust that, boo boo. I promise you, that ass is grass. If you was not tight with God, oh, if you didn't have that protection on you from your ancestors, from your guardian angels, from God himself, on me, or on everything I love, I promise you, you would have been mine. Both of y'all. Capital B. What Shannon Sharp say? Capital B, capital O, capital A, capital F. Both.
Would occasionally manifest itself visibly as a black mist.
A side note, Diddy, depending on when this video goes up, either Diddy's trial just started or just finished, or it's we're some part in the trial. I hope he gets life, right, in prison. I don't want him to get no death penalty. I don't want him to, I want him to suffer for the rest of his life.
Yet again, both Mary and Janet claimed to be the ones who saw this activity happen most often. While folding clothes one afternoon, Janet felt a distinct chill in the air. She turned to see a black mist, human-like in shape, floating through the room.
God damn.
She mustered the courage to follow the mist into the living room, but of course, there was nothing there by the time she caught up with it. She immediately hurried over to the other side of the duplex to see Mary. When she reached her, she was also visibly upset.
So, Nightmare Files, you keep showing this house. I'm guessing this is the Conjuring house. But it's a duplex. So what does that mean? Do. Does do mean two? What's the difference? That looks like a regular house. But it's a duplex. I don't know what a duplex is. Is that like... It's like one house, but multiple families live in that house? Or is it like one family is on the top floor and the other one is on the bottom floor? Like, what is it? Okay.
Mary told Janet that a dark figure had just come through the wall and passed through the house. Ed and Lorraine Warren would later explain that these shadow ghosts are the most dangerous. As the Smurl family women grew more terrified, the demonic presence fed on their fear and the psychic energy they put into the atmosphere, gaining strength. The horrifying events continued. Jack says that one of his earliest memories of the haunting was being touched on the shoulder in bed. Janet also claimed to have been touched on the thigh while sleeping. Dawn began to complain of ghostly figures hovering over her bed. The children would say that they heard the fluttering sound of wings in the bedroom at night. Janet would hear water running and what sounded like someone taking a bath, only to discover that there was no one in the bathroom. On several occasions, Jack thought something was wrong with the plumbing, as the toilet would seemingly flush itself over and over again. When he would try to fix the problem, he found everything to be in perfect working order. Their dog, a German shepherd named Simon, would also be attacked by the spirits.
Oh, man.
Jack and Janet would wake up to the sound of the dog howling, only to find that the dog was sleeping soundly next to their bed. It was seemingly transported, for lack of better words, throughout the house. For example, there was a time when they saw the dog cross the hallway at the top of the stairs, while Jack was sitting on the top step. When Jack called to him, he appeared at the bottom step, as if he had been at the bottom floor the entire time.
Oh, what?
The dog seemed to sense the disturbing atmosphere, often appearing on edge and uncomfortable. When no one was home, they locked both the front and the back doors, only to return to find one or the other not only unlocked, but open. They began to have trouble with electrical.
The spirit said, no more locked doors. No more locked. Looking ahead. Yo. This is actually insane. And you know what's crazy? The Conjuring movies, some of us think what we see in the movies is really what happened. But in reality, what happened to these families is way worse. And that's kind of hard to comprehend, to be honest with you.
Fires and new appliances. At one point, the television burst into flames. In the summer of '85, Janet was pulled from the bed and lifted some 6 feet into the air for the first of many times to come.
Wow.
As things began to worsen, Janet attended one of the Warrens' lectures at a local college after hearing about them from a professor. When the lecture was over, she approached them, finding them to be credible in their knowledge of the occult and paranormal. She asked for help, and soon after, the Warrens came.
She asked for help. Tell me! She asked for help. She asked for help. But after how many times she got clucked up? That whole family got clucked up. After how many times? I lost count. Dead ass. You would have thought you would have asked for help. What? After the first time? When the light came down from the ceiling and smashed one of y'all almost kids? It gets me playing. It gets me playing for real. Like, you be y'all.
Property on January 17, 1986. The Smurls had lived in the house for 13 years at this point. Dawn was now 16, Heather was 13, and Shannon and Karen were 7. They interviewed and questioned the Smurls, even having them psychologically evaluated by professionals. Lorraine immediately picked up on 4 separate spirits in the Smurl residence.
Damn.
A harmless elderly woman, a young and possibly violent girl, a man who had passed in the home, and a demon who may have control over the other 3. Ed did an experiment in which he played chants through a speaker in one of the bedrooms. The Warrens began to pray together. The house and the closet in the room began to rattle. Items in the dresser began to dance, as Lorraine explained it, and an icy cold air filled the room. Ed attempted to banish the demon with more prayer and holy water. The activity suddenly stopped. Jack said he felt washed over with the wave of relief. The Warrens needed no further evidence. They recommended that the Smurls contact the Catholic Church. Following the Warrens' advice, the Smurls attempted to reach out to their priests. Unfortunately, their request for help was not received well. The priest came to bless the house, but refused to do anything further unless the diocese approved it. The diocese would not give the Smurls the time of day, asking them to provide evidence of the demonic attacks. Lorraine also attempted to reach out on their behalf and received the same answer. They told Lorraine that they had no intention of performing an exorcism on the house. The Smurls felt as though their own church had turned their backs on them, almost as if they're punishing them for seeking help. Things reached an almost unbearable level of torture by the demon in the house. Simon was thrown across the living room by an unseen force in full view of the family. Things began to
Oh yeah. The way you're describing this movie, or describing what the events that happened in that house for last rites, yo, this movie about to be insane, bro. This movie about to be insane. But I don't know. Yeah, some of y'all. So I said this in the video, which never got posted on YouTube. But after my reaction to the movie trailer, I was like, and let me know if you agree, or like what is the most scariest scene out of the whole Conjuring universe? By far, because we haven't seen this movie yet, obviously, but by far, what I can remember from the Conjuring universe as of right now, off the top of my head, the scariest scene is when I don't know if it was the Nun movie, but the daughter was in the hallway in the house, and she was looking at the nun down the hallway. The nun looking back at her. Daughter still as hell. She's still. The mother comes from the left side. And the mother looks at the daughter because she looks scared. And the mother says to the daughter something like, honey, what's wrong? Or what's going on? Or something like that. And the daughter points. And she's like, what's that? The mother turns her head. I'm thinking the nun about to not be there. No. The mother turns her head. And we still see the nun in full force. By far the scariest scene that I can think of right now. Oh my God.
Including Jack's medical bracelet and some of the girls' clothing. Once in a while, these items would reappear covered in a layer of dust. Jack speculated that the items were being hidden in the attic of the house by the spirits. There were several instances in which Shannon and Karen were thrown from their bunk beds in the middle of the night.
That's insane.
Janet would recount to the Warrens a night in which she and Jack were up talking in their bedroom at 1 a.m. After hearing a loud...
You know what's crazy about this movie and about like the Conjuring movies? Is that none of what we're seeing on camera, granted it's a movie and it's reenactments, but all of that shit happened, well, for the most part, all of that shit happened. And it's not even like, bro, I don't know if we could, I don't know if we could handle everything that happened to these families in real life. I mean, yeah, in real life, and put everything that happened in the movies, I mean, in real life, in the movie, I don't know if we can handle that. Because some of this stuff, I can't, it's kind of hard for me to, like, wrap my head around.
They emerged into the hallway to find Shannon laying at the bottom of the staircase. She had no idea how she had even gotten there. Even the neighbors would report hearing screaming and seeing lights flashing in the house while no one was home.
Wow.
Jack's mother suffered a heart attack, and the paranormal activity began to take a psychological toll on every member of the family, even driving a wedge in Jack and Janet's marriage. Janet continued to be pulled from the bed, even with Jack in the room. She claimed that the shadow figure would touch her thighs and even do inappropriate things to her.
Oh, shit!
She recounts times...
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? They want that ass!
She would be lying right next to Jack, screaming his name, trying to wake him, but he would not budge. Ed describes this as phantomania, or psychic paralyzation, in which the demon is controlling the body, even without the victim being aware, such as preventing them from waking up during sleep. Jack also claims that he's been touched inappropriately by the demon, recounting a particularly traumatic event happening in the evening in which he was watching a baseball game when a woman appeared to him in the living room, and he even says that he hates to think about her. Jack would describe the woman in detail and how he was powerless. Ed would say in a future interview with his son-in-law, Tony Sparrow, that Jack hated to talk about the encounter with the demon, and it had deeply affected him for the rest of his life. When the family would attempt to escape the terror,
and that would affect me too. You touch me inappropriately, a spirit or a ghost touching me inappropriately. That would cluck me up for the rest of my life. Like, can you imagine just chilling on the couch, you watching TV, you can't move, you know? It's like, I forgot what he just called it. He just gave it the name. But like, the ghost is like, the spirit's like controlling you somehow and you can't move. So you're watching the spirit coming at you. You watching her. And she right up on you. Can you imagine? You watching all of this happen. And she just going to town on you. She just going crazy down there. And you can't do nothing. Oh my God. Oh my God. Jesus.
Going on a camping trip for a few days, strange things would continue to happen around them, or one of the family members would catch a glimpse of the black mist. They realized that even if they were to move or leave the property for good, the demonic presence had latched onto them,
wow.
And they would continue to be followed.
Oh my God.
Ed and Lorraine Warren began to realize that they were dealing with a succubus, which would explain why many of the attacks were on the matriarchs of the family. They wanted to drive them out and separate them from Jack and John. Ed explains that the succubus commits these acts purely to insult God and the creation of birth. They believe that there are a few reasons that the succubus could have been driven out of hiding.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. This family they've been through so much They've been through so much during these the last rites. And I can only imagine what that does to your mental. And y'all remember, if you've seen Last Rites trailer, it was like half of a second, or a second. They showed somebody hanging from like the ceiling. I can see why now. I can see why. This family has been through the absolute most. That I feel like they just couldn't, like one of their family members couldn't do it no more. They just couldn't take it. So they just off themselves from the ceiling. Oh my God.
Of strong faith in God, Heather and Don reaching puberty and renovations occurring in the home. Now knowing the full severity of the situation, they brought in a family friend, Father Robert McKenna. He had worked with the Warrens for many years and performed countless exorcisms during his career.
That's right.
Father McKenna had carried out the exorcism on a Smurl home, carrying a crucifix, a rosary, and holy water. He went from room to room performing the rites. He went outside and performed the ritual around the perimeter of the house as well. The exorcism provided temporary relief for the family, but after a short while, the activity resumed. The rapping on the wall, foul odors, and levitating objects marked the return of the demon. Father McKenna returned for a second attempt, performing the exorcism once more. Over the next few days and weeks, things were peaceful. The Warrens would say that the hold the demon had on the Smurl family was one of the strongest that they had ever encountered. Once again, the exorcism was unsuccessful in expelling the demon, and activity ramped up once more. Ed said that the exorcisms weren't successful because God was not yet ready to show his power over this evil. The family was exhausted, and their anger began to grow over the lack of help and support from their own church. They decided to take their story public in hopes to shaming the church into assisting them. They appeared on several talk shows, and their story appeared in local newspapers. They even collaborated with the Warrens on the publication of a book about their story, and it's called The Haunted. They quickly regretted this, as the media was relentless and the family was under constant scrutiny and speculation. The best thing to come out of their decision to go public was a large prayer group showing up at their home to hold a candlelit prayer session with the family. During this time, a few priests attempted to visit the home, including one who stayed with them for 2 days, seeking proof of the Smurl's claims. Of course, the demon hid away during those 48 hours, and little to no activity happened. So he left promptly, without helping the family. In 1987, at their wits' end, with the attacks and tired of being harassed by the reporters and random strangers outside of their home, the Smurls moved back to Wilkes-Barre. Apparently, just as they suspected it would, strange phenomena followed them. One man, who was studying to be a priest in Rome, read the book and was appalled by the Catholic Church's lack of action to uplift a needy family. He wrote a letter which he sent to the Cardinal Ratzinger at the Vatican. The Cardinal reached out to the Smurl family's church, and within days, the same priest who had refused them was knocking on the door at their new home in Wilkes-Barre. He brought them a small gift as an apology. He announced that Rome had intervened and was sending an exorcist to clear the Wilkes-Barre residents of the evil presence. Upon the performance of the exorcism, the demon, perhaps weakened by the change in environment, was finally expelled. The Smurls finally lived in peace after this event.
Did they?
And never reported any further activity from the church or the Warrens.
I don't know about that.
Since the haunting of the Smurl family went public, there has been much speculation around their case. Like many others the Warrens were involved in, critics believe that the family was in league with the couple to make money off of a fabricated story. In most people's opinion, this is one of the most believable demonic hauntings that they've ever seen or studied. This is the true story behind the Conjuring, Last Rites.
Jesus. I feel bad for that generation of family. Man, I can can only imagine.
Girls were the all-American family, really. You know, they were civic-minded. They had in fact, Jacksonville had started the first field basketball team, the West Piston. They were all around the American family, and so people would say, well, what did they do to open up the doors? They didn't do anything. They are what we call the chosen ones. When I say chosen ones, this family here, very religiously oriented, good Catholics, good Christians, were picked for one purpose. God wanted to show his power over evil, and these were the people he did it through.
It says here,
People hear voices like this in their homes. They hear the wife pull up in a car, open the door, come in, set the groceries down. The husband will yell up, "You're home, honey?" He goes up, there's nobody there. These sounds come through telepathy. They're telepathically projected to the listener.
Now,
This is what she was hearing.
now you also notice, Tony, now they're beginning to show fear.
yeah, because it says here that she immediately located her rosary beads and began praying.
Yes.
And it says in another incident, while folding clothes one afternoon, Janet felt a sudden chill enter the room. She glanced up and watched as a dark figure.
Union ghosts are the most dangerous. They can actually solidify to the extent that they're almost like cement.
And of course, Tony, they could walk right through the walls.
Oh, no
Doesn't
problem.
mean anything whatsoever. But now both women are frightened, so now they're feeding it.
It says there were also incidents that occurred in full view of more than one family member. An exceptionally disturbing event occurred one night in the summer of '85.
Yeah, what happens here is that solidification takes place around Janet's leg, almost as though something was grabbing her and pulls her out of the bed. Fortunately, Jack is holding on to her. But most of the time, the husband can't even hold on to the wife. She's just pulled right out. These are, again, all the beginning stages of infestation. Much worse things are going to take place in this family. The limitations, the smells, the odor that they smelled.
Yeah, that's the demonic.
Inhuman spirits, devils or demons, hate human beings. They were created by God. They go into the dark areas during the light hours of the day. Where do they go? They go into the graves, into these old ancient graves. They love to see a body deteriorating. This was God's creation. That's why when people say, oh, this thing entered the room and I can smell this foul thing like garbage or something dead, that's because this thing has been in the grave somewhere.
Oh boy. No family member was exempt, it says.
The car,
Yeah,
and Henry Hudson Parkway, the other car hit the back of my car, knocked it out of control, right up onto the grass. And naturally, we were out of commission, so the police came along and they took the reins through a telephone. Well, where'd they take her? Right where this professor had lived, where she had phone. Right where he lived.
Tony, in New York City?
New York City.
New York City, like the biggest city in the world almost.
Yeah.
And it says the smells were going to break. Then it says, without question, when dealing with the paranormal.
And Ed had brought, you know the box, Tony, that he has that has all the first class relics in it?
Right.
All of those first class relics have been given to us. We never actually sought any of them out. And we have all the papers from Rome concerning them. Ed took them up and he put them on the bed in the master bedroom. And he and I sat on the bed and he put on this music, this chanting music. Gregorian chanting music. And he had it on real loud and we were
This is
singing.
provoking what's in that house. Evil spirits hate Gregorian chanting. They hate prayers.
And we
They hate
were
the name of Jesus or God.
and we were praying. We were saying prayers out loud together. And with this, Tony, there were louver doors on the closet. But the carpet was so thick and they never had the doors planed down. So you had to like pick the doors up, to open them or close them. And going back and forth like crazy, the doors were. Then the television lit up, but it wasn't plugged in. Then all the things that were on the bureau began to dance all around.
Let me just read this to
One time after traveling all the way down there to meet with this priest and talk to him, he told me he didn't have time for me that day because there was a couple coming that
was the chancellor we were talking about.
No, this is the parish priest first coming. That he didn't have time to talk with me because of the fact that he had to instruct a couple that were going to be getting married.
Says Rebecca.
And they didn't lose faith.
That's amazing that they did.
They did not lose their faith, Tony. Not once did they lose their faith.
Because it says here that
Yes, a succubus is a demon who attacks the male. The incubus attacks the female physically. It's the most horrendous types of attacks, as you'll hear Jack Speck is calling it a she here. It's an it. It's not a she. It's not a he. It's something that has never walked this earth. It's something horrible, ugly, filthy. It doesn't the creation of birth. It's an insult to it.
But if you ever met Jack,
He didn't want to even describe this.
and if you ever met the type of man he was to have that happen to him.
In fact, when he would go on a couple of national shows, these talk hosts thought it was a big joke, and they started joking about it. He was humiliated, of course. He didn't want to talk about this at all. He said, "I don't want to talk about the succubus attacks." So I know for a fact that even after he left the first house, that he was attacked on at least 6 other occasions.
Gator Files. What made them? What did Ed? What? How? Maybe I missed the first Conjuring, or I don't know what movie it was. But how did Ed and Lorraine get into like helping families that were being messed with by spirits and demons and stuff? How did they get into that? Like, how do you even bring that up in conversation? Like, what were they doing before that? Well, nevertheless, shouts out to them, because I could never, I will never, and I'm not gonna ever do something like that. That's insane. No, that's dead. No pun intended. But this movie, this last movie, Last Rites, is about to go crazy. And I'm ready for it. Let's get it. Man. This will be a good movie. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and I love you. Stay happy. My family.